So just as there's that minute until we start, just breathing light in through the whole body, and just breathe out with a nice sigh. Breathing light in, just breathing out with a sigh. And just have that intention that you're calling spirit into your space, cleansing your space, having the intention that we are connected to each other. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to this later on and not listening to it live, really having this sense of our hearts connecting, reaching forward in time, knowing time's not linear in the shamanic sense, to everyone who's going to listen to this later on, and everyone who's listening to this later on is connecting to us, and even forward to people who will listen to this after them. So that there's this one big swimming pool of love and light. We're really moving into a time of coming together as community, so it's really important that we support each other as a community, even if that's just breathing light in and light out together. So just as we start, let's just breathe light in together as one, and breathe light out. Really breathe the light of your own truth in, and breathe any doubts out. Breathe the light of the heavenly realms in, and breathe that out and share it with the whole group. This time as we breathe that light in, breathe pure light in from above. And as you breathe out light that dissolves any doubt. I know that when I started on my own spiritual path, I was very skeptical. I had a lot of doubt, and I've been lucky enough to have been introduced to guides and the shamanic path, and learned step by step, hundreds and thousands of times the guides have been with me and supported me. So that doubt, that skepticism is just, vanished. I might have it in areas of my own life, and even there the guides are really encouraging me to step into my confidence, to see myself as they see me, to see myself as I see others, to lift my own self-esteem. So just breathe that light in, that loving light of trust. And breathe that out and share it with the group. So there's something in you that's brought you to this. A lot of you I know are students who are already doing the training or have done the training, and some of you have never really worked with spirit. But there's something that's pulling you there, and that is your spirit, that is your higher self, that is your consciousness. So again, breathing that in together, and breathing out with a sound. Breathing that light of trust in, and breathing that out into the group. Just to strengthen the grid, we'll call on the 4 directions. And in shamanic cultures, they call on the east, the south, the west, the north, and attribute them to different elements. It doesn't matter how you attribute an element to a particular direction. It's really, everything's about your intention. And that is to call on this loving support to be around us. And here to connect with something more than us, not just in a soft, fluffy, airy-fairy way, but in a grounded way, in a practical way, to have spirit live with us, to work with us, to operate through us, to help those in our lives transform, our communities, our families. The shamanic path is all about being a hollow bone or a conduit for this energy of the universe that is unconditionally loving to flow out to our community. Transform ourselves, yes, but be an anchor to transform others and let that light go out as well. And so much of that is building the muscle of faith, building the muscle of trust, trusting your own heart, trusting your own sense that this universe is a loving one and that the essence of it is the vibration of love. All traditions say that there's a oneness energy. And what is that oneness? It's love. And there's a lot of fear in the world, and that can really separate us off. And we've had this big education of separation. You know, from the beginning, we're not educated that we are one, that we can breathe light together, that we are the trees, the rocks, that I am you, you are me. We're not educated like that. We're educated about our separateness. And a lot of that separateness is fear-driven, like I want to stay separate. I want to hold on to what I have. I want what you have, rather than we are everything, so that fear can dissipate and dissolve. Let's call on the east. Call upon the spirits of the four directions, beginning with the east, the air, and home to the wind and all of the winged ones. And just really breathing in the violet flame. It's this beautiful energy that dissolves. Violet light, violet flame. To just dissolve any blocks, any resistance, any barriers, any doubts. So we can step into our knowing, so that we can feel connected to the earth, we can feel connected to the heavens, we can feel connected within our own heart, and through our heart connected to everything else. Just allowing the energy of the east and all the feathered ones to just waft through, blow their energy through you, and just clearing you of anything that could get in the way from calling spirit into your life. And when we're calling spirit into our life, it's not any spirit, anything that's out there. We're calling in the energy of unconditional love. Calling in that energy of oneness. We're calling in our guides who love us unconditionally and have our best interests at heart, and can help us remember who we truly are, that we are light just like them, that we are them. You know, the job of our guides isn't to be above us and to keep us small. The job of our guides is to remember that we are the guides, that we come from oneness. We are that. We've just been educated that we are separate from each other, that we are less than or greater than, this constant measuring of ourselves to others, and feeling separate and isolated and even lonely or alone in that. Thank you, Spirit of the East. Call upon the energy of the South, the Earth, and I just acknowledge this beautiful Noongar Butcher here in Perth, and just ask for a lot of healing for this land, for the song lines, for the people, all the animals. And we ask that connect to wherever you are, that this energy grounds us. So just perceive you've got tap roots going down into the earth, and they're spreading right across the country, so that we can feel everyone who's doing this. And we acknowledge the ancestors wherever you are, wherever you're sitting, standing, lying right now. And we ask that good spirit energy that has mastered that love, mastered community, mastered working with spirit to hold us, to protect us, to ground us. Really feeling the earth come up your legs, up your body. You might get the sense of different elements of the earth, the land, the trees, the rocks, the animals, the ancestors, grounding you, supporting you, holding you, letting you know that you can just drop all worries and concerns and just be present and in the moment. Just take a nice breath in consciously together. And breathe out, just letting go. Thank you, Spirit of the South. We call upon the West and the water. And call upon the cleansing energy of the ocean to wash through us, to cleanse our mind, bodies and spirits. To clear us and prepare us, to help support that connection with spirit, with our own spirit. Just letting the waves of life wash through us. Calling that beautiful energy of the whale with its deep presence, enormous unconditional love. Thank you, Spirit of the West. Call upon the direction of the north and the fire. Call upon the energy of the beautiful sun to light us up. To fill us with light. To strengthen our own sense of connection as a being of light. Call upon the smoke of all the ancestors to cleanse whatever space you're in, wherever you are, and whatever time you're listening to this. Just having that sense of the fire of your own spirit. The fire of your own truth. The fire of your own calling. Thank you, Spirit of the North. We acknowledge the direction of below us. And again, acknowledge that beautiful Mother Earth, the energy of above us, Father Sky, the sacred in between, where we stand for balance and as that bridge between the physical and spiritual dimensions. Call upon all of our guides who love us unconditionally to gather around us, to be with us, to support us, touch us, nurture us, inspire us, help us transform and awaken and heal. To really invite them into any area or even all areas of our lives that we feel we'd like to have them be with us. There's a law of free will, so there's unconditionally loving presence that's available to us is limited by our free will. So when we call them in consciously, when we work with them consciously, it's so much stronger and there's so much more available. They won't overstep our free will. So by making a connection to them, they can help us so much more powerfully. Okay. So this session is all about calling spirit into our lives, and it was inspired by the fact that in Perth we just secured premises for a shamanic clinic, and I really wanted to, obviously call spirit in, because the whole purpose of shamanic healing is that spirit comes through us to support people. And that energy is unconditionally loving. So we really want that space to be there. We want these guides and this energy of unconditional love to protect the space, to support all the practitioners, to help heal all the people that need it, to provide that safety and grounded practical love so that people can come in there safely and, leave knowing who they are, transform, leaving behind their limitations. And I just got inspired to share it with you guys too, because we can all use that, whether you're a practitioner, whether you're in service in any way, or just to bring it into any area of your life, whether that's into your relationships, into your health, into your wealth, into your well-being, into your spirituality. By calling in spirit, learning about spirit, we just supercharge whatever we're doing, and we can be in the flow and in alignment with things. So there's a lot more trust and a lot more peace. So if we're going to call in spirit, what are we talking about here? What spirit? What is spirit? Well, here we're talking about unconditionally loving guides. And in the shamanic realm, there's a strong understanding of oneness. So we start off in this pool of oneness, which is unconditional love. And we have a crazy idea of coming down into the earth to experience ourselves as oneness. When you're in this blob of oneness, it's hard to sort of know that. But come down and be a little bit separate from it, we can really know we're that. And it's a big thing. It's a big leap. We're not just sort of pushed out into this harsh sort of world. We've got these guides that come down with us, and they're here to help us. They're here to support us because they remember that they're unconditional love. So when we come down, we can really forget that we are that. We get educated that we're separate right from the get-go, rather than, as we talked about up front, educated that we are one and that oneness is love. So in shamanic healing, you're meeting and hanging out with and being a conduit for these unconditionally loving energies. Now the form of them varies person to person. Some people it's like indigenous elders, for others it's light, for some people it's angels, for some people it's animals, but the essence of it is unconditional love. And their purpose is to remind us and help us embody that we are that too. So it's not like they're up here and we're down here. We're equal. We are them. They are an aspect of us. It's just they haven't forgotten. And in shamanic healing, it's critical because we're so limited by our mind, but these guides are like not limited at all. So, for example, about a week ago, I had someone call up who just didn't want to be here. It was that sort of like suicide call, right? And I don't get them very often, thankfully. And it's easy to go into your mind about, well, how am I going to deal with this? What can I say? What help and support do you have? Where are you at? You know, you're trying to think about advice. But I know that the guides will know exactly what to do. They're masters of healing. They're masters of unconditional love. And so just by letting go of my practical thoughts and saying, let's just tune into spirit and see what they've got to say, spirit is with them all the time. You know, their guides communicate with my guides or talk through me, and everything they say, only she could really know. And you hear it, you see it, they show it to you. And they don't just bring back her spirit. They don't just put her back together. They don't just say to her that, you know, that they're with her and that everything she's doing is seen and known, and like everything they say is relevant. But they kind of put her back together at the same time, because everything is just energy. So shamanically, it's not like an airy-fairy thing. You're working with masters of healing. That's what they do. So when someone comes to you like her with an issue, they can actually track that down to, when did the spirit split off? Why are they not wanting to be here? What was the cause of this? And they'll go back and actually show you where it happened. And that might even be over past lives. And because everything is energy and they're masters of energy, they just kind of work through it. They show you different things. You feel into what needs to happen to bring this person back into energetic alignment and balance, knowing that we're all just energy, and that energy is love. And that's what they do masterfully. Whether it's a physical thing, a mental thing, an emotional thing, a spiritual thing, the guides will not only identify what's going on and show you what needs to happen to rebalance it, but if you can train yourself in whatever modality you do to actually get out of the way so they can do it too, it's so much more powerful. Like when in the shamanic school, we train people about energy. They learn about all of these different healing techniques, and they'll get that diagnosis from the client. They're usually pretty good at that. They're usually pretty good at sensing what to do, but then they'll go ahead and do it, rather than just let the actual guides do it, to step back, to step out of the way so they can do it. And when they do that, instantly it's 10 times better. It's 10 times faster. It's 10 times more effective. And that support is here not just for us when we're doing healing work, serving, helping the community, but for our own lives too. And anytime you're talking to someone and they're going through a problem, anytime you're in any situation, you can call spirit in. What needs to be said here? What needs to be done? Often we just need to listen. But spirit will help you feel into that. And so, you know, we can be conduits for love through our mouths, you know, through our actions, through our thoughts. And the guides and this unconditionally loving energy can really, really support that. That's what they do. And everybody experiences that very differently. And working with the students, as particularly as you go kind of up the level, sometimes they have this fear that they're not good enough. You know, fear that they won't kind of see spirit the way other people see spirit, that they won't get the messages the way they do. And from our experience of working with hundreds of students, that's absolutely not a fear you ever need to worry about. The guides will always come through if you're open. But it's learning how they come through. Like, you might be a feeler, like you just get the feeling of it. You think it's your feeling, but how pure is that feeling? You know, it's connected to love, it's connected to source, which you are that too. Or you might get an image, or there's a deeper just knowing. There's a sense of it. There might be the smells, the sounds, even taste. The guides work in all of these different ways to help people. And with a little bit of training, it's really not difficult. I've never really had anyone come through who just can't do it. But it's learning how you do it, because everyone's guides are very different. And you can be doing things one way, and all of a sudden a new spirit guide comes in and your whole way of working changes. It's like instantly they come in and it's like you're doing a new modality. You're working at a totally different vibration, a totally different frequency, which tends to, if you're humble and work with integrity, tends to go up. And so as you're working, you'll get more assignments. And as you get more assignments, of course you need guides at that vibration. And they keep coming and they keep, you keep growing. There's no limit to it. As long as you're working with integrity, as long as you're moving with love. And to me, doing this for all these years, that's kind of the most important thing. What's important is not how magically you see things and what guides come through and how powerful you are. It's how much integrity you have. Like, it's being a good person. Because if you're a good person and you act with integrity and you have this calling to be better yourself and to help other people and serve, then those guides and that spirit, they can trust your energy. If you're doing it because you want to be big and you want to be powerful, if you have this sense that you're not good enough, so you're trying to be good through your spiritual work, you're trying to show that you can do it and forge a career, that's coming from a lot of the small I, not the big I. And that's not trustworthy. Then you're not going to get the assignments. You're not going to really be able to help. You'll be limited. And if you're really doing it from this sort of wanting to feel a whole, wanting to feel better through your spiritual work, you're bound to call in energies that'll say, I'll help you be powerful. I'll help you be strong. I'll help you be the best healer in town. Now, believe me, spirit never talks like that. They never, that's some sort of other energy that's wanting to work through you. And that energy will distort your work. When you work, you want to come from your intention. What is your intention? What is your intention for anything? We opened this shamanic clinic yesterday, and it's the communities. It's all the students coming together, forming what's our intention. And it's beautiful. When we come together and call on spirit and have this passion to serve, and all these people have transformed their lives, done the work, want to help other people, the foundation of it is strong. It's loving. It's pure. It can't fail. The foundations are strong. And as I said before, you don't reach for things. You be patient and they land and they come. Like I got the sense of doing this shamanic clinic a while ago. Kat, who's beautifully holding space as she does, reminded me that she was listening to the abundance sessions we did, because a while ago I was like, got this strong thing, we've got to bring a shamanic clinic in for Perth so that the students can help people. You see them here and they're training, and then they're helping the community, and then sometimes they go and it doesn't go out into the community, and it needs to. And in my mind, the human mind, I'm like, yeah, we just need $2 or $3 million. We just need a bit of abundance. to make it happen. And so I'm doing this abundance course to get the base chakra up so that we can serve and help more people. And of course, we didn't need to buy a shamanic, make a clinic from the start. We could just hire a space. But Kat had just listened to that yesterday, and she's like, and you opened the shamanic clinic yesterday. It happened. So spirit comes in, and spirit comes in more powerfully when you're there to help and serve. When it's not just about you. Like, it can be about you. Like, I want to heal, I want to transform, I want abundance. Naturally the world's abundant, and so are we if we have an abundant thought form. But it's what it's it for. If your intention for things can be not just for you, but to help other people. Like, if you do a healing course for yourself, you transform yourself, you help yourself, that's helping people. I want to transform myself as much as I can so that I can transform my life, my relationships, so that I can be more loving and not living in fear. My shamanic teacher, Sue, said to me years ago when I started doing healing, when you do the healing work, you spiritually grow really quickly. And she was right, because you've got these guides coming in and they start telling you things. You start to see how things work, what's the nature of the mind, where things come from, how energy can be shifted, what's the laws of the universe. And the guides come and teach you step by step this stuff. You don't have to know it. You just need to kind of be open to guides who'll teach you. And that's what happened with me. Sue sort of gave me the start, but then the guides just taught me and wanted to work through me to teach others. So the content of the school comes from them. It comes from spirit. And when I started it, there was like level 1, level 2, level 3, practitioner training. I had no idea where it was going, but I just kept doing it. And then at the end, I was so surprised because there was like powerful shamanic healers like came at the end of it. But I didn't know that. And then as you go through it, you want to constantly improve whatever you're doing. You constantly want to reflect upon it, particularly if you're doing healing work. How could I have done this better, Spirit? And it doesn't matter what area of your life. How could I be a better dad? How could I have been a better mum in that situation? How could I be a better boss in that situation? How could I be more loving with my partner? How could I have been kinder to my colleagues? And you'll get it. How can I be a better conduit for Spirit? And they'll teach you if you're open to it. It's a matter, are you open to it? Do you want Spirit in your life? And that energy, it's got to be unconditionally loving. That energy is supportive. That energy is kind. That energy opens your heart. That energy reminds you that you're beautiful, that you're worthy. And nothing's fixed. Everything's energy. I was so surprised, going through and learning that a lot of the healing work that people do is energy that's not even theirs. It's like that energy goes down the family line into them. So people have doubt from their family. People have anger that is mum's. People have frustration that is dad's. People have all of this energy. It's not even theirs. And you learn all of that if you're interested. And it's not airy-fairy stuff, It's like quite precise. But everybody does it differently. Sometimes you get guides they're like surgeons. They're like doctors. They're so precise. And they're unpicking, they're showing the energy field and they're clearing this. This comes from a contract. Everything's free will. So if anything's around you don't like, there's some sort of agreement. There's something within you that said yes. And if you have a really weak no, that's like saying yes too. They'll find it. They'll show how to dissolve it, how to change it. The world wants you to be embodied. It wants you to be powerful. We need all of us to stand up and be our light. You know, if there's ever a time in the turning of the cycles of history, right now is the time. And people are waking up everywhere. You know, when I started meditating when I was a little kid and then going into my workplace, people didn't know what meditation was. They thought I was weird. But look at the shift. They need people like you to speak Spirit's words. You know, they need people like you to hug people like you are the Divine Mother. They need people like you to stand up and say, this is not okay. We need to do it differently. This is coming from fear. This isn't love. This isn't community. This isn't sharing. And by signing up to do this, in some way you're saying yes to that, I hope. You know, I am going to be a conduit for Spirit. I am going to take responsibility to embody love. And I know that when I, started this, I was skeptical. You know, I was working in the corporate world and climbing the corporate ladder and doing all of that sort of stuff. And what helped me so much was that my shamanic teacher could see Spirit, literally could tell you the exact words that Spirit were wanting to say. You know, it was just like speaking to Spirit on the phone. It was really handy. It was helpful. But as we started to work and as we started to do things together, particularly when we go on big shamanic trips where we were guided to heal the land and to work with the dead spirits of the place and heal all that sort of stuff and bring it back into balance, I overcame my skepticism because what I felt, saw, heard, Sue would say 1 second later. Or I'd feel something and I'd say it and Sue says, yes, I can see that too. And it just happened again and again and again. So it built up for me that there are these guides out there. Are they an expression of you? Absolutely. You know, we come from oneness. We go back to oneness when we die. But they do have a form. And when I'm teaching, particularly at the higher levels, my whole focus is what do their guides want to do through them? Because we as practitioners, as healers, as teachers, as lovers, as parents, we get in the way of that energy. And in shamanic healing, I love it because everyone's guide's different. Everyone's past lives are different. So if they're pure to that, it's like they'll be bringing through almost like a new modality. Something unique, something different. Even though they might be doing similar techniques, their guides will do it in different ways. So let's just breathe into that. It's a lot of words. Breathe into that. Do any of those words land for you? You're not alone. I know that for me, when I first started doing this work, the guides would give me a lot because I needed it. I was green and I was unsure, and they would give me this sort of support, and Sue would help me a lot in my own personal life with the messages. But it's not like you give your power away to these guides. They want to see you step into your power. So, as I went along the path, it got really annoying because they would give Sue nothing. They'll give my teacher nothing. So it's like, bugger, I have to work it out myself. And I had to learn that the answers are in my own heart. I had to feel into it my own self. I had to grow my own muscle rather than rely on and give that power away to a teacher, to a guide. They want you to fully embody and be them. And definitely test it. Like when I started out with the little things, I started out with the car parking spots. And I had a big corporate job and the guides were like, you've got big shoulders, broad shoulders, but you're carrying a lot of stress. So I started to ask them to help out in little ways with a meeting or to get this deadline that looked impossible. They wanted me to have more balance in my life. So I'm like, great, I've got the most demanding client in the world. I want to go for a run and a swim. Please don't have them call me for an hour or an hour and a half, which is unheard of. And every time I did it, they wouldn't call. So they're there for you in your work. They're there for you in your love life. They're there for you in your financial life. We're not here to struggle. We're here to enjoy. We're here to share. We just have to change our mindset, our thinking, our belief system that's often inherited around lack, around separation, around low self-worth. All that stuff is just energy. But if you look to nature, it's abundant. It's beautiful. It's in balance. It's in harmony. Okay, I feel like I've rambled well and truly long enough. Thank you for that. I just wanted to get all of that stuff out so that you had a bit of context for it. So, be pretty good to meet your shamanic guides, I would think, about this stage. And for some of you, that will be a rekindling. For some of you, that will be a totally new thing. For others, it might be a new guide comes in. I have made a video that explains a lot about guides, and that's on our website, so you can check that out. The main thing that I want to say in meeting them is to just drop all your expectations. So for some of you, you'll feel it. For some of you, it'll just be a sense, it'll be a knowing. Sometimes it's like a little flash, and then you sit there in silence for ages thinking nothing's happening, but you've already met them. And I'm sort of just holding space and drumming for a bit longer to make sure everyone has that opportunity. So you might see, you might feel, you might know, you might intuit, you might hear. Without a doubt, they are there. To do that, we'll go on a little shamanic journey. So we'll be in nature, we'll go down a portal to meet our guides. You might find you go up to meet your guides, you might find it just happens. So it doesn't matter whether you go down, up, or stay where you are. All that matters is your intention, and our intention is really clear and strong. It's to meet guides who love us unconditionally. Unconditionally. Not ones who are here to promise you power in the world and money and riches and fame, but ones who love you unconditionally, who care for you. And great to ask a few times, do you love me unconditionally? Do you love me unconditionally? Do you love me unconditionally? We'll do another whole section on clearing energies that don't love us unconditionally, but these are for the new ones that are coming. And it's a feeling in the heart, it's a knowing. You just get this sense of safety, of love, of well-being. If it's grandeur, power, have a bit of doubt around it. So just breathing into your space a bit. And it's not, you can't do this wrong. So don't have any feeling of like, oh, I can't do it. You can't do this wrong. There's no right or wrong way of this. Just open yourself to the intention of having unconditionally loving spirit, oneness consciousness, embodied consciousness that has your best interests at heart, connecting that. It's connecting to the oneness. And specifically those assigned to help you walk along this path and remember you are one too. Perceive yourself to be in a beautiful place in nature. It may be a place you've visited before, it may be a totally different landscape, but it's in its pristine, natural state. And really feel, what does the earth feel like under you? Use all your senses. Use the full gamut of your feelings. Put aside any doubts. Go with it. Does it feel like it's hard? Does it feel lush? Is it sandy? Is it moist and almost warm and tropical? Is it a beach? Is it the bush? Is it a forest? What's the sense of the colours of this place? The trees, if there are any. The animals, if there are any. The smell of the breeze. You're drawn to a portal, and that portal might be a hole in a tree, a cave, a crack in the earth, an animal hole. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. In the shamanic realm, you can go through it. You might go down, you might go up, the guides might come to you, but the important thing is our intention is to meet these guides who love us unconditionally, to bring spirit into our lives consciously so that we can be the person we truly want to be. After 3, we're going to dive into that portal, whether it's down, up, or all happens around you. Be drawn easily to these guides. Have that strong intention, free from fear, knowing that you are oneness consciousness, knowing that the essence of you can't be heard. After 3, 1, 2, and 3. essence of the guides. Breathe into love. Invite that energy in to soothe you, to heal you, to transform you, to rekindle, inspire, invigorate you. Whatever you need, your guides know. Your spirit knows. Receive that. Free from expectations of the form that should take. Just receive it. You don't have to try. It's already happening. Guide. It just helps to have a label, a name to call that energy in, and it doesn't matter if you make that name up or if it just comes to you. Just trust whatever you get for it. It's just a way to call that in. There's no right or wrong name. It can be a nickname. Just as effortlessly as we journeyed to where you are, we're going to journey back to where we started. And again, no, you can't fail doing this. There's no right or wrong way. This is just a taste of the energy. It's It's a connection point. It's a starter. For some, it's a deepening. We're going to do other activities with that energy. So this is just a shorter introduction. After 3, we will return. Having that strong intention to do that after the count of 3. 1. You don't have to think how it's going to return. It just happens effortlessly. 2. And 3. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's meeting with, sensing, receiving from that unconditionally loving energy, which will give you whatever you need at different times. We're also going to do a little bit of work to clear out energies that are with us that don't love us unconditionally. So throughout the different lifetimes and throughout our life and childhood, we often reach for, call upon energies to help protect us, defend us, get things for us, help us to achieve certain things. And those energies might not be of the vibration of unconditional love. And a simple example can be like gatekeepers around the heart. You know, you have a traumatic, difficult childhood or situation, and you kind of energetically call in support, but without that qualification of unconditionally loving support. Or you've had lifetimes when you worked with energies that aren't unconditionally loving, and the younger part of you might call those energies in to protect you, which is helpful when you're a little innocent kid, but maybe sabotaging when you're a bit older and you want to invite people to your heart. You want to feel safe to open your heart. You know, you love with an open heart. You don't love with a closed heart. So it protects us and keeps stuff out, but it doesn't let our love out to others or even to ourselves, and it doesn't let love in either. As a simple example, you can have these more fear-based, protection-based, defensive-based energies around you. And what can happen is our subconscious, which doesn't know time is a linear thing, so not that time's linear, but they don't know that sort of time's moved on. So the subconscious has no idea of that. So if you have some sort of shock or trauma as a little kid, part of your brain, the subconscious, which is much, much bigger, much, much more powerful than the conscious brain, can kick in and take over. So in certain situations it might feel similar to the past, that child energy, the subconscious will come out and defend too strongly. You know, it'll grab too powerfully. And that sort of subconscious child doesn't care if it pushes people over energetically or throws hot water on them, or, you know, has like sabotages them, or like put landmines around them, or, you know, stabs them. It really doesn't care. But you as an adult now, and you know, you're obviously people who are interested in spirit, can connect to higher energies of protection and support. You don't need those fear-based things. You know, sometimes people have been working with what they think is like an ascended master or something powerful, and it's not. You know, it's an energy that it's got its own intention. It's not mastered unconditional love, and it's using and accessing healers and teachers, and it's not pure. So we want to check and make sure that those energies are gone. And they might actually be friends and allies to that little child in you that feels safe because it's got that strong protection. But if you're willing to let go of any energies that don't love you unconditionally and you've outgrown, you can say, I am ready to let go of any energies I've outgrown that don't love me unconditionally. And it really helps if you say that out loud. You know, I'm ready to let go of any energies that I've outgrown that don't love me unconditionally. You can say, I give permission for the guides who love me unconditionally to help with that. So there's always a contract. You know, there's always a permission. And remember, if you sort of say, no, but your no's like really weak because when you're a child, no wasn't heard, someone just, you know, made you do stuff, your no is even a yes. So there's always got to be some sort of permission, some sort of a contract. So you can say to these energies, I dissolve any contracts in place between us. Thank you for the help you've given me to now. But I no longer need your service. I've outgrown it. And you can go on to do different things. And I want you to perceive a light being pulled down from the heavenly realms right down into your room in front of you, or wherever you are. And you can say, go into the light. You don't belong with me. You belong in the light. And you can say, any beings that don't love me unconditionally, show yourself to me now. And just relax and just let those energies present themselves if they're there. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person, and it doesn't mean however big and scary they may appear, anyone who's going to get evicted from their home is going to show their scary side. They are not more powerful than you, these energies. Nothing is. We're all one. Whatever energy is there, it's not bigger than you or smaller than you. But just get a sense, is there a shadow around you? Is there an energy that wants you to believe that it has your best interest at heart, but maybe it doesn't fully? Is there a protector or a defender that doesn't have the discrimination of unconditional love at your service when it can be free? Say to those energies, I free you. I free you. I free you. And I want you to get a sense of and a perception of the guides who love you unconditionally standing all around you, bringing a lot of light in to highlight these energies and to shift them into the light. You can say, I give permission for help to clear these energies. I don't want them in my life anymore. I appreciate what they've done, but I don't need their help anymore. I consciously request them to leave me. You have no power or control over me. I am a sovereign being of love and light with my own free will. And I have chosen. Don't be scared of the light. We are here to help you. You are light too. I am not your home. I clear any thought forms that are yours and are in my energy field. I am not you, and I request those thoughts be cleared now. Can say, I am not you and you are not me. We are separate and my decision is final. You are free to go and may never return without my signed conscious consent in written form, which I will never give. perceive light filling all of the places where this energy was, going right through your aura, and it's coming from the circle of guides who love you unconditionally around the outside, going from the outside to the in, really transmuting and clearing any shadows, any beliefs, any thoughts, any feelings. From that energy. Really have the intention that you're closing the book on that support, closing the book on that energy and tossing it into the fire so that the book is dissolved as well. You're just done with it. You're done with controlling the world. You're done with the energies of fear. You're done with energies of manipulation. You're done with being less than loving and having these energies support you with that. And just having the strong intention that that's done and complete. It's like when you have had any sort of relationship, or if you like break up with a long-time partner or something like that, and it's not their choice, they'll often knock on the door and try and get back in. Just have that intention that you've got no all around your energy field and that you mean it. You don't have to scream it. You want to build up your no so that you can say it very quietly and it's heard right through the universe. You don't have to defend your no or explain your no. You just quietly state it. We all have that right to say yes to things and to say no to them. You are a sovereign being of love and light with your own free will. So what we might do is just have literally a 2-minute break just to go to the toilet, and if people are okay, we might even finish 5 minutes late. I really like to finish on time, but I want to make enough time, like 20 minutes, to do this calling in spirit into our lives. So just a 2-3 minute break. always good to have a little sip of water too. Doing spiritual work is dehydrating. So just starting to feel into where do you want to invite spirit in? You know, like with a shamanic clinic, we invited spirit into that space to be there as long as we are. So it's always holding it, it's always protecting it, it's always clearing it and providing that loving, transformative energy. What area of your life, whether it's all of your life, whether it's your relationships, your work, your health, your abundance, and you can say, I consciously call the spirit of the East into my life. I consciously call the spirit of the East. Now that's the energy, the air, all the winged ones, all of the highest vibration of change, of wind, of birds, of the spirit, in whatever form that brings, the angels, the high vibrational energies basically. Mental clarity. I consciously call the spirit of the East into my life. the south. And here we're calling on the spirit of the south and all it brings, and the earth energies. And again, here we can say, I consciously call the spirit of the south into my life. I consciously call the spirit of the south into my life. I consciously call the spirit of the south into my life to make my life sacred. moving around to the west and the energy of water. And we can say, I call upon the spirit of the West, consciously calling it into my life. I call upon the spirit of the West, consciously calling it into my life. I consciously call upon the spirit of the West, welcoming it into my life. lastly, calling upon the spirit of the north and the energies of fire. I consciously call upon the spirit of the north and welcome it into my life. I consciously call upon the spirit of the north and welcome it into my life. I consciously call upon the spirit of the north and welcome it into my life. Just getting a sense of spirit in the four directions around you, knowing that you can put those four directions around any part of your life, around any situation in your life, around any circumstances in your life. Just call on those four directions, call on the spirits of the four directions to make your life sacred, full, wholesome, rewarding, joyous, transformative, so that you can embody who you truly are and inspire others around you. So you can be moved by life, so you can breathe life in with joy, and add to it as you breathe out, so that you can be an embodiment of spirit, an ambassador, a reflection, an expression of spirit, the highest expression of your own spirit, which is connected to the oneness of all that is. With that, we give great gratitude to the east, and we close that direction down in terms of what we set up for this sacred time together. We give great gratitude to the south, and we close that direction down, and the song lines that have connected us. We draw our taproots back up into our own body. We give great gratitude to the west, and we close that down. Give great gratitude to the north, the fire, and we close that down. We acknowledge the direction of below and above and the sacred in between, and we close this sacred space. Thank you for sharing it with us. If you want to stay around and talk a bit at the end, share, ask questions, please feel free to do that. But we will end the session now as we've gone just a few minutes over time. Thank you, everybody. I'll give you access to unmute yourselves if you want to stick around and chat and say g'day. Otherwise, thanks and have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this. Bye.